there is this moment of an encounter of the body and the artwork, but it's a silent encounter, and even a mute encounter. And that always sounded to me too limited, for maybe that would be a nice, could establish a nice relation to certain modern art, but it implies a kind of mute relation, that you, a kind of sacred relation, that you become mute, you don't produce any sound, you don't even speak in relation to that encounter. If it's a mute thing, there is a kind of priest or whatever that is the one who can say something. And that for me has been always a problem. So I've been all the time trying to organize this situation as a moment where you see and produce any word, whatever. And then when I realized that that encounter with the body produces also sound, which is whatever sound you make, you know, can be just an ah or ah or anything. Even before you can articulate a proper word, but you can say anything. You can produce a sentence, you can speak in a flow, non-stop, or you can articulate very precise sentences. But you have to produce any sound. You cannot be mute from that. And then it was clear to me that that encounter is also is a physical encounter that produces sound as well. So that is a crash between your body and the artwork. Let's say your body is hitting a surface and producing sound. It's like accessing drums or accessing any kind of percussive sound. And that situation, that image, became very productive to me in the sense that could liberate from me all the noise that you can have in between you and the artwork, or I mean you, anyone. So this non-friendly surface that makes you heat or even scratch your skin, or, I mean, brings a kind of awareness for you in terms of, well, where I am, what I'm doing here in front of this strange object or strange surfaces or strange physicality structure. So, I mean, this awareness is important for me in terms of, from that you can start saying something, or can start producing, let's say, some noise. And then the collective conversations, they came from that awareness that you talk, and that this specific talk or discourse, I mean, different levels of discourse. I'm not referring only to the specialist discourse, any word, any noise, any sound. That from that, which is, I think, the most interesting thing you can produce with an artist. I mean, be able to generate that moment, or that generative moment for speaking, whatever. From that, from the awareness of all the different voices that are, how can I say, motivated, or that are triggered or provoked to be produced from that encounter, I started that thing, the collective conversations, as a way of trying to, let's say, organize somehow a productive moment from a sort of cacophonia that you have with everyone speaking, producing different voices. And I think it's interesting to consider the external voices, the internal voices, the different sounds we produce. I mean, because, yeah, we have to consider all those noisy processes of internalizing that process and reversing the internal and external world, which is, a kind of addressing the subject to be, active. The methodology is very much a methodology of group dynamics and believing in this collective document that we produce. I think this is interesting. I mean, it's not me guiding where we go. I can do that, you know, sitting on my desk and writing myself whatever I want to write, or, you know. But if I recognize the importance of meeting other people for a certain time, it's because I don't want to write only by myself, because I want to take what everybody can bring to the table that I don't know, that I don't expect, that I'm sure that these other things can guide us to some other situations. But of course I am organizing the whole thing in terms of also a certain methodology. And for my practice, this NBP thing is generative as well. I mean, I consider that since I started with that shape that is prior to this, to the object, I'm working with a sort of program. But as a program, it starts with that shape, and that shape is a sort of semiotic shape. So because it is a mediative thing that has been permitting me to develop several situations with contact with people. The work has unfolded in different directions, but all the time establishing protocols of contact. Not only between, you know, artist and work, but also between me as an artist, or me, whatever I am, and the position of the artist, and the position of the curator or the writer as an agent, and the position of me, this agent, and the art world, and the institution, or the other curator, or the other artist. So, I mean, of course, this is, I started to realize that actually the work is very much about building mediation zones, contact zones, and that sign or shape, it's all about that. So when the shape becomes this object, it looks like the perfect embodiment for the shape, because this object moves around and everybody takes and produces things. In a way, my practice as an artist is also a kind of expanded literature. But it's not only that, because wherever you have those physical structures, they produce, you know, different narratives that can establish confrontations with that system. Actually, that's what is expected, actually. I mean, I hope people engage with my practice also discursively. I mean, I hope to contribute to this conversation. But, and yeah, I think it's that. It's the, what can you bring as a contribution? I mean, that's, the system is the poem, I would say. No? Because that's what it is, those things. It's things people have to react and produce other things. I mean, that's I think the what this practice is about, no? Of doing art, strange word that we think means something, but actually it's so general. It points to so many directions, but also it establishes, you know, a sort of communitarian conversation. I think this is also something I like, because then you see that, yeah, you share a conversation with other people.